I'm pregnant with Sullivan's child, so divorce him and let me have him." Rebecca suddenly bowed her head, tears in her eyes. Rebecca faintly smiled, caressing her belly, where her love's fruit with Sullivan was growing. Knowing her history with men, I couldn't even sigh. It wasn't surprising at this point. She used to switch boyfriends one after another during our student days, and always she seemed to target men who were already taken. Rebecca's beautiful face was streaming with tears. It was like watching an actress perform. I wonder how long Rebecca can keep up this facade. "Sure, but you'll have to take care of Sullivan's debts," I said. No matter how much reality I throw at her, Rebecca always activates her positive thinking. I'm curious when this smile will fall. I'm Lily, 29 years old. I gave birth a year ago and recently returned to work. At work, "Lily, you seem so unflappable. You're just so elegant," my colleagues often say. Now, I'm just an ordinary housewife, perhaps because I was born into a wealthy family. When I was young, my dad, Arnold, ran a fairly large company. Despite being busy, he took us on domestic and international trips twice a year. My mom, Rosie, even from my perspective, was beautiful and kind. Coming home from school, the house would always be filled with a sweet scent. She always had homemade snacks ready for me. I also have a younger sister, Rebecca, 1 year my junior. She often coveted my favorite stuffed animals and new clothes. Rosie never told me to be patient because you're the older sister. Instead, she patiently explained things to slightly selfish Rebecca. Thanks to this, ours was a calm household with raised voices. However, when I was in the 6th grade, Arnold's company went bankrupt, so we moved to Rosie's countryside hometown. From a famous urban private school to a rural public one, everything about our lives changed. It was a small school where everyone was friends and the only class of the grade. As a new student, I was a novelty and it was overwhelming with all their questions. But thankfully, I quickly made close friends. Within a month, I had completely settled into the school. On the other hand, Rebecca became like a pretentious idol. "Lily, let's go home together," she would say. Without making friends, she'd come to my classroom after class to pick me up. I wanted to go home with my friends, but I couldn't turn away Rebecca. Outwardly, she pretended to be this adorable sister who adored me, but since moving to the countryside, she became more willful. "Hey, give me that sparkly pen. It doesn't suit you. Lily, with your cute sparkles. After all, you're such a country bumpkin now." "No way. A new friend gave it to me because we have matching ones." "Matching? That's so dull. A country girl like you would be better off with a freebie pen from the electronics store." There were no tears or tantrums, just a mocking laugh as she forcibly took what was mine. I hate to say this about my sister, but it felt malicious. At first, I thought I was fortunate to have friends after transferring, but gradually I found myself isolated in the classroom. "Hey, let's hang out after school." I tried inviting friends, but their response was cold. "We're not hanging out." "Why not? Did I do something wrong?" "We were never friends in the first place. You must hate us country folk, being a city girl and all, right?" I was suddenly scolded, too stunned to understand. Looking around, I noticed everyone in class giving me cold stares. Then Rebecca showed up. "Lily, let's go home together." With no place for me in the classroom, I grabbed Rebecca's arm and hurried home. "Lily, let's go home together again tomorrow." A bit selfish, but I believed Rebecca, who was always by my side, was someone precious. Then, the reason for my isolation became clear. Apparently, a sparkly pen, identical to mine, was found in the school's trash can, defaced with the word country bumpkin written in permanent marker. I didn't do that. I desperately denied it, and the teacher believed me, helping mend my friendship. We made up, but things were never as close as before. Maybe in early elementary school, a simple apology would have sufficed, but it's a delicate age in the later years. My classmates accepted me again, but I felt an invisible wall had formed. Did Rebecca do this? She was the one who took the sparkly pen from me. Could she have thrown it away? I couldn't help but suspect her. "What are you talking about? I don't know anything. Maybe it was harassment from those friends you thought you had, Lily. Everyone probably hates you." No matter how much I pressed her, Rebecca just laughed and denied everything. More rumors spread about me bad-mouthing friends, and again, Rebecca was suspicious. Yet she acted innocent, clinging to me, saying, "I love you, Lily." It was frightening. Rosie, who I relied on, had started working and didn't know about this. I didn't want to worry her with unnecessary concerns, as she seemed busy. So on the surface, we were seen as a pair of charming, close sisters. Rebecca, who hadn't made specific friends for a while, began to attract boys in junior high. Her demure and mysterious nature drew them in. But there was a problem. She dated boys who already had girlfriends. "Oh, were you dating him? I'm sorry, but it's not like I seduced him. I just happened to be loved by him." Moreover, she made provocative comments to the girls who were dumped. As a result, all the girls were enemies. But she was liked by the boys. I sometimes wish I could pretend to be a stranger, but in our one class per grade country school, everyone knows we're supposed to be close sisters. "Lily, let's go home together." For some reason, instead of going home with her boyfriend or his friends, she always chose to walk with me. Rebecca clung to my arm, acting like a cute kitten. Just as I started making friends, I couldn't bear being thought of as part of Rebecca's boy-crazy group. In fact, there were quite a few girls who saw me as an enemy. I never had a boyfriend, but felt uncomfortable because of Rebecca's influence. And I was wrong to think that boys didn't like me. Behind my back, "Lily is so harsh to me." Rebecca played the tragic heroine. Her overdone victim act seemed transparent to other girls, but somehow fragile to the boys. Wanting to distance myself from Rebecca, I went to college out of state, and then found a job there. I wanted to see my parents, but only to return home for Christmas or family gatherings, to avoid Rebecca. I didn't have any problems with socializing once I was away from her. After dating my first boyfriend for 2 years, we decided to marry. I dreamt of a wedding, but couldn't bring myself to invite Rebecca or friends from back home, so I didn't have one. My husband Sullivan is a man of firm opinions. Unlike me, who tends to look to others, he's bright and optimistic, which drew me to him.
"Are you and your sister not close?"
It's not that we're not close, but
"Come on, from what you've told me, it's clear you don't get along."
well, it's not like I'm saying I hate her to her face.
"You should just be honest, Lily. You worry too much. From what I hear, your sister sounds like she embodies all the worst traits of a woman. It's natural to dislike her."
Sullivan's laughter eased my dislike for Rebecca a bit. He's always smiling. Like the time we were forgotten at a restaurant and waited over 30 minutes, he didn't get angry.
"What? They forgot about us? It's okay. So as an apology, our meal is free, right?"
He responded casually and cheerfully to the apologetic waiter. Although a bit brazen, Sullivan's brightness lightens the mood. "It'll be fine," is his catchphrase. I worried his parents might be upset about us not having a wedding.
"It'll be fine."
Just as Sullivan said, they weren't bothered. When I found out I was pregnant, my anxiety outweighed my joy. Then,
"It'll be fine,"
Sullivan assured me. Once our son Sean was born, I couldn't help but adore him. Despite the stress and worries, I'm willing to do anything for my precious child. Sullivan sometimes talks about quitting his job on a whim to start his own business. Just after giving birth, I'm bewildered, but he laughs it off.
"It'll be fine,"
and confidently pursues his beliefs. It was tough managing the housework and childcare alone since Sullivan was busy, but I felt that he could break through any barrier. I believed he'd be my hero if I ever really needed him. His optimism was a great comfort to me. This helped me reduce my aversion to Rebecca, and I started visiting home more often to let my parents interact with Sean. Rebecca and I are both nearing 30 now. Rebecca, once seen as a selfish and cunning sister, had become a beautiful adult, perfectly suited in high-end brand clothing and accessories. Still single and living at home whenever we visited.
"Lily, Sullivan, welcome. Please make yourselves at home. Sean, let's play together."
Rebecca would warmly greet us. It seemed I was the only one who still harbored ill feelings.
"Look at that. Rebecca's actually a nice girl. I imagine someone much harsher from your stories, Lily. She's like an elegant beauty, incorporating brands without being pretentious.
Yeah, she's become a kind woman. It's like her childhood self was a lie. I'm relieved.
Lily, are you mean? Jealous of cute Rebecca? Putting her down won't raise your stock, you know.
His words hurt me, but they made me realize I had painted a negative picture of Rebecca to Sullivan. Social Sullivan quickly grew close to Rebecca and our parents.
Oh, Arnold, you used to run a company. I'm a business owner now, too.
Really? That's impressive.
It's in distribution. It's deep. Trusting my eye to source top-quality goods. It's exhilarating when they hit big. I'm not cut out for being an employee. Becoming an entrepreneur, that's the best feeling.
Rebecca and my parents praised him, seemingly impressed. But Sullivan was so boastful that I discreetly cautioned him. He frowned, displeased.
What's up with that? You're so worried. Opposing my independence? It's not right for a wife to meddle in her husband's business. Right, Arnold?
Arnold just shrugged, non-committally. Lily, it's fine. I want to hear more about Sullivan's work. Rebecca interjected, and Sullivan eagerly continued. That's amazing. Way to go, Sullivan. Rebecca knows how to handle men. Sullivan, looking pleased, slightly annoyed me. Wanting to impress Rebecca and my parents, Sullivan was more talkative than usual. His confidence, once attractive, now seemed boastful and shallow. The magic of love slowly dissolving, I began to doubt the confident, cool Sullivan. Unable to bear it, I retreated to the next room with a crying Sean. Looking away from them was my mistake. Sullivan and Rebecca had apparently grown close. One Sunday, while Sean and I were relaxing, Rebecca suddenly appeared and bowed her head. Lily, I'm sorry. Please break up with Sullivan. I'm carrying the child of our love. What? As soon as she entered the living room, Rebecca, with tears in her eyes, made her appeal. Wait a minute. I don't understand. Sullivan, my husband? Tearful Rebecca faintly smiled at my confusion and said, Yes, your husband, Lily. Sullivan. I'm pregnant with Sullivan's child, so please divorce him and let me have him. I felt a chill spread through my body. Rebecca hadn't changed at all. I knew all too well about her history with men, so I couldn't even sigh. I wasn't surprised anymore. She used to switch boyfriends one after another, and always she seemed to target men who were already taken. But to go after her own sister's husband, how shameless could she be? I felt my strength drain away and just looked down at Rebecca expressionlessly. Rebecca was crying with a beautiful face, like an actress performing. I wonder how long she can keep up this act. Lily, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. It just so happens that the man who loved me is your husband. Oh, I know it sounds like an excuse. I'm wrong, and all I can do is apologize sincerely. I'm sorry for taking away someone important to you. Her insincere words were followed by more tears. But did Sullivan really betray me and have an affair with Rebecca? As if reading my thoughts, Rebecca slightly raised her face. Lily, I think I'm wrong too, but you're not innocent. Sullivan said you don't understand his work. He's trying hard as a businessman, and you're not fulfilling your duties as a wife. Instead, working a side job for pocket money? It's too much that you're not supporting busy Sullivan. Sullivan said that? Rebecca lifted her chin slightly and replied, Yes, he confided in me. He also says this. Lily has completely become a mom since having Sean, abandoning her womanhood. But I've been working hard at my job and with child rearing. But before I could finish, Rebecca interrupted. Lily, just stop. It's unseemly. You said you're working hard at parenting, but Sean is already over a year old and playing alone right now. Even though you leave him at daycare, what are you working so hard for? This is what Sullivan said. Rebecca took a breath and looked me straight in the eye. Lily, you've taken Sullivan's kindness for granted. It's no wonder he's changed his heart to another woman. I fully understood Rebecca and Sullivan's feelings. I was foolish to believe Sullivan would come to my rescue when needed. Did Sullivan who left all the household and childcare duties to me, ever helped me even once. Now I'm used to raising Sean alone. I wouldn't be troubled without Sullivan. I burst out laughing unintentionally. So I appeared to just be pretending to parent. That's right, Lily. You've neglected Sullivan too much by using your role as a mom. I would prioritize Sullivan the most. Of course, I love the child in my womb too. But how can a wife who doesn't love her husband love her family? Rebecca solemnly bowed her head. Lily, please, set Sullivan free. Let me have him. I stood there and dropped my voice over Rebecca's head. Fine, but please take care of Sullivan's debts. Rebecca turned to me with a shocked expression. It seemed like she didn't know after all. Sullivan has debts. They've ballooned to $60,000 in just a year. Rebecca, with wide eyes, like a small animal, tilted her head. That's for you to pay. No way. Sullivan's debt should be paid by Sullivan, right? Rebecca, who had been maintaining her composure, now furrowed her brow tightly. Stop it. You're the worst, Lily. How much more will you leech off Sullivan? You probably can't forget the luxuries of your childhood. It must have squandered money, right? I can't believe you've accumulated so much debt. I interrupted her rant. Rebecca, were you listening? I said it's Sullivan's debt. He talks big about independence in business, but in reality he's drowning in debt. Wait, are you talking about a loan from a bank? I understand that running a company requires a substantial amount of money. What's $60,000 anyway? It's a debt from consumer finance. What? Why? Rebecca's mouth twisted. But Sullivan said he just landed a big deal. His work is going perfectly. Oh, right. He did well recently, remember? That very famous card game? Rebecca's eyes lit up again. Wow, Sullivan works in gaming. I prefer something more intellectual, but nowadays, not only children, but also adults enjoy games. It has potential, right? It seems Sullivan has only shown his good side. Rebecca probably didn't ask for details, not really interested in what's inside Sullivan. Amazing Sullivan. She laughs, possibly without even listening. Rebecca was confused by the debt talk earlier, but her quick recovery surprised me. Their baseless confidence is where Sullivan and Rebecca are. I'm curious to see when Rebecca's smile will fade. I'll show Rebecca the new wife Sullivan's workroom. I led her to a room at the back of the house. Turning on the light in the dark curtain-drawn room, it was overflowing with items to the point where neither walls nor floors were visible. What's all this? Books, toys, clothes, games. There was no consistency, just a mess of items. All apparently Sullivan's precious merchandise. This is Sullivan's work. Work? It looks like a storage room. Yes, a warehouse filled with unsold items. Rebecca looked utterly confused. This is unsold merchandise. Sullivan's job is retail arbitrage. Retail arbitrage? Even after explaining, Rebecca was speechless. It seemed like a foreign concept to Rebecca, who has lived in a brighter world. Ever heard about it in the news? It's reselling. Rebecca's face contorted rapidly. Reselling as in hoarding tickets for popular concerts and selling them at unbelievable prices to desperate fans, those resellers? It was the first time I saw Rebecca get emotional. All right, as a child, Rebecca secretly kept popular Idol stationery and posters. I don't watch TV, so I don't know what's trendy. I like classical music and ballet. She used to say playing a mysterious character, but apparently she had a past of being troubled by resellers. Sullivan's a reseller? No way. Just then, Sullivan came home. He probably rushed over after hearing Rebecca was confronting me. Rebecca grabbed him. Your job is reselling? Is that true? Sullivan looked into her eyes and answered earnestly. What I do is retail arbitrage. I don't know what lies Lily has told you, but it's a respectable distribution business. It's a tough job that requires the ability to discern market trends. So it's different from reselling. Well, yeah. Sullivan, slightly awkward, embraced Rebecca to cover up. Don't worry. I'll become a big shot in this world. I'll make you happy, Rebecca. Sullivan. The love drama with actress Rebecca had its male lead. Rebecca gazed passionately at Sullivan. As the two were lost in their world, I decided to bring them back to reality. Before Sullivan, the warehouse will become big. The smiling couple froze. Sullivan's been doing retail arbitrage for a year now. This room is filled with unsold inventory. Can you sell all of this?
Of course I can.
Maybe to a recycling shop, but there you'll be lucky to get half of the original price. Rebecca and Sullivan, still embracing, froze. Sullivan's smile turned strained, while Rebecca glared at him tightly. You talk big about being a business owner, while your retail arbitrage isn't even successful. It was embarrassing just listening to you.
You're not employed, right?
So, you call yourself a business owner? That's laughable. I couldn't hold back and laughed out loud. It'd be fine if you had a decent income, but Sullivan, what about you? You just buy things that might sell, ending up with more leftovers. Just buying things that won't sell or be used? That's just wasteful. Rebecca stepped back, releasing her embrace.
Rebecca, it's different. I've had constraints because of Lily's disapproval, which hindered my work. With you, it'll work out. Definitely, definitely.
Sullivan pleaded with conviction.
There's a baby in your belly, right? I'll work harder than ever. Let's get married.
Rebecca, moved by Sullivan's passion, nodded, hand on her belly. They embraced again. Sullivan smiled. What a farce. Two overly optimistic people together. This will be interesting to watch.
Let's get divorced.
All right, I understand.
Good.
Wish you happiness. Sullivan and I divorced immediately, and he remarried Rebecca. Sean and I moved back to my parents' house, while Rebecca moved into Sullivan's apartment. By that time, Rebecca's pregnancy was becoming noticeable. Our family is growing with another grandchild. Mom will be so happy, she exclaimed excitedly. However, my parents ignored all communications from Rebecca and never met her. Mom and Dad are surprisingly stubborn, Rebecca remarked. She seemed to think that they would change their attitudes once the baby was born, and didn't seem too concerned. Meanwhile, Sullivan's marriage wasn't what he had expected.
Doesn't Rebecca have any money?
Just 3 days after getting married, he actually came to confirm with me. Apparently, he had perceived Rebecca as a wealthy lady. Rebecca's behavior hadn't changed since our family was affluent during our childhood. She couldn't accept the reality of our family's financial downfall. That's why she distanced herself from school friends and always acted pretentiously. Even though our family was just an ordinary, rather poor household.
But Rebecca always wears branded stuff,
Sullivan protested. Yes, but most of those are probably fake. Rebecca works as a temp worker. She doesn't have that kind of money.
Fake? I can't believe it. I thought I was marrying a rich, kind, beautiful woman instead of Rebecca. You didn't appreciate my efforts? I've been deceived.
Sullivan, who had been posing as a successful businessman, despite not making any profit, was just as deceitful. Rebecca probably wanted to marry for money as well. She would soon realize Sullivan's true nature and regret it.
I thought I could be supported by Rebecca.
Maybe you should stop retail arbitrage and get a real job. You couldn't even tell Rebecca's branded items were fake.
Shut up. They looked real to me. Only real.
Sullivan held his hand in despair, but suddenly seemed to have an idea. I had a feeling I knew what he was thinking. He nodded to himself with a scheming look.
Maybe I'll try branded goods next time,
he mused. I almost warned him, but swallowed my words. It's not my concern anymore. Half a year later, Sullivan and Rebecca rushed to our family home. Arnold tried to turn them away, but they were crying and making a scene. To avoid causing a neighborhood disturbance, we reluctantly let them in.
We need money.
They were difficult to understand through their tears, but it seemed they were in financial trouble. They had been selling fake branded items as genuine, and now buyers were demanding refunds. They had spent lavishly, thinking the fakes would sell well. Now they were being pressed for refunds and had no money left.
We don't have any money to lend you,
Arnold said calmly. Dad, how can you not help your own daughter in trouble? They're threatening to sue us if we don't refund them immediately. Even as Rebecca pleaded, Arnold just shook his head sadly. Why not just make another loan? You've been doing it for purchases all along, so it shouldn't be a problem now, right? I suggested. Sullivan scratched his head.
I can't borrow anymore.
Incredibly, he hadn't used any of his earnings to pay off his debts. He had even taken loans to buy fake branded goods, but only paid the interest. The debt that was $60,000 at the time of our divorce had ballooned to who knows how much. Wow, glad I divorced, I exclaimed unintentionally. Rebecca then turned on me.
What do you mean by that? Why did you push such a debt-ridden man onto me? I'm getting divorced too. I don't need this kind of man. What, Rebecca? You were enthusiastic about selling fake brands. It's your specialty. You did most of the purchasing and selling.
Sullivan retorted. Shut up. Sullivan has no sense for retail arbitrage. I was the one making a profit. You should be grateful. Rebecca snapped back. What a perfect match they were. Seeing Rosie silently suffering, Rebecca targeted her next. Mom, the baby is born. It's cute, right? You want to meet your grandchild, don't you? Lend us money if you want to see it. No way. Rosie refused. You're discriminating against your grandchild. How cruel, Rebecca exclaimed. Rosie, unable to hold back any longer, raised her voice. Enough! He's the man you stole from Lily, right? If you want to fix the debt, work for it. How dare you show your face here? I no longer consider you my daughter. Go to hell with your beloved Sullivan. Mom! Rebecca finally broke down and cried, her beautiful face distorted and wrinkled in anguish, like a cracking white mask. Arnold mercilessly threw out the genuinely sobbing Rebecca and Sullivan. After that, we didn't have anything to do with them, but I learned about their situation unexpectedly. The police contacted us. Sullivan had been desperately reselling to make money, but compared to fake branded goods, the earnings were meager, and once he had tasted the profit, it wasn't satisfying.
It's wrong to lie. Just sell them as fakes.
Great idea. I'll buy them because they're fake and cheap.
We'll make a profit, even if the selling price is low.
So they were back to dealing in fake brands. They refunded noisy complainers from the previous trouble, but managed to get by with the rest. Despite fears of being sued, they thought they were safe since nothing had happened. But wrongdoing eventually catches up. They were finally held accountable for their crimes.
Our foolish daughter has caused you trouble.
Arnold apologized to the police repeatedly. He never asked to lighten their sentence. Instead,
she has no remorse. Please ensure she receives the appropriate punishment,
he insisted. Rebecca and Sullivan were arrested after claiming they didn't know the goods were fake, a defense that obviously didn't hold up with the police. Unrepentant and without compensating the victims, they received actual prison sentences. Both ended up in jail together. They begged for forgiveness once their fate was sealed, but it was too late. Moreover, a mountain of debt awaits them upon release. I'm relieved I divorced. I even feel thankful to Rebecca for awakening me to Sullivan's reality. Despite his boasting about distribution and discernment, it was Rebecca who gave me the wake-up call. I'm still living at my parents' house. I haven't remarried, but Sean has a younger brother now. We took in Rebecca's child. Our family isn't wealthy, but we manage without wasteful parents. Colleagues no longer say, Lily, you seem so unflappable. Managing two energetic boys leaves no room for calm. Sean is 5 and Rebecca's child is 3. Every day is incredibly noisy, almost maddening. Stop fighting all the time, I scold. They pause their squabbles, glance at each other, and run off, always in sync during these moments. They know Grandma Rosie's arms offer a safe haven. Rosie says, Well, so full of energy, as she pats their heads. I guess scolding is my role, while spoiling is Grandma's. I've decided to raise both boys equally without discrimination. They don't need to be wealthy or outstanding, just kind-hearted adults. As for me, my throat is hoarse from scolding so much. Sucking on my usual honey candy, the children bring me a handful of candies. Thank you, you're so kind, I say. They smile sheepishly, rowdy and noisy, but still my adorable kids.